The car was a sort of bubble, self-driving electric car with tinted windows. We played a type of poker for peanuts while it rocked through the long tunnels with the long, smooth curves. So it was absolutely no idea what direction or where we were, and when we emerged into the natural light, the city was far behind us. It was all so unfamiliar that I was very confused. We moved through smaller and smaller roads and tracks to eventually arrive at a place where well-kept small farms which looked very unproductive, like they were just hobbies for the rich. We stopped outside a gate that had to be manually opened, and it was distinctive for its overgrown appearance. The driveway skirted a dam and went up to the house that was run down or somewhat in disguise, as the trees and bushes were vying for ownership through the tangled grip. There were rows of vegetables with an orchard further behind the house. I was glad to get out and stretch my legs, though riding with Anna beside me was a sort of comforting and annoying to have the whole band in with us. Inside, I was introduced to a few more people that looked up from their souped-up computers to acknowledge. I showed interest in their setup, but got strange looks for either security or for the project or for their computers, which just standard to them and amazing only to me. I told Anna that I had done some coding, and she fired back,
"What app did you use?"
"I coded by hand in C++.
"What century are you from? Or is Queensland just a lost state?"
She took pity on me and explained it's all AI code generated by plain English prompts, but the thing is to protect it from the state, we generate the code in bits and recompile it on a non-network computer. It slows the whole process, and we can't use AI to check it for all the bugs. I read on the small computer case quantum driven, so I suppose they worked out quantum computing for every man. I didn't understand how they resolved the super low temperatures that the scientists needed in my time in quantum infancy. Some of the guys went out to work in the garden, and Anna called me to take a walk. I feel like a kid with everything being new, and I want to help, but
"Pipe down,"
she says, and took my hand. On the edge of the escarpment, the distant city trying to hide, but maybe it was the farm that was trying to hide. We kissed, and I drank in her beauty, her smell and the exoticism of a future girl. Later back in the house, and Anna got everyone together in the large lounge room. "Hi, I'm Leon, new in town for a funeral, but I've been asked to propose a pieces of music for your project. But for security reasons, I can't see the footage. So your input in the next few minutes will be very much appreciated, and it might give all of you working with this to see the project in another audio perspective. Imagine the music that could add to the visuals in creating a rich story." I put forward Sebastian's design music, discussing a dystopian feel without the dread to go with it. They didn't seem to get that excited, and I wondered if they're listening as if to a song, not a soundtrack. So I played Taxi 19, Kiss Kiss Kiss, that I played Anna, and explained as I did with her about the flexibility and the way that the music could be used with exciting situation, chases, etc. While these two have different instrumentations, piano against the ensemble, I think it allows itself the growth to bigger emotions. They seem to be deep in thought, but taking it well, though it's hard to fathom their thoughts. Well, how does it feel to you?
I am thinking, like most, I suppose, that there are a range of emotions and actions which you have given us here. Well done. The sound captures a sense of French simplicity.
The tall guy in the back with the orange jacket said,
I always saw it as a piano accordion with the whole French stamp on things.
I'm going to play one more piece that I think will allow the gamut of emotions that have not been covered. I understand the direct connection of the piano accordion, but I haven't gone that way, but this piece will allow more intimate scenes, maybe sex scenes. But the second section opens up to more exciting and action. The piece is View of the City from a Car. This piece was designed to be cut up in a number of sections, with varied orchestrations and moods. To their credit, they did listen, and some mumbled to each other, and they seemed sort of optimistic or hiding their content well, one or the other. It has a few little variations in sections that could be useful and might go pretty well. I add, obviously the actions may be added by sound effects and squeals of tyres. One of the coders said, I feel it's too musical towards being a song mood-based or more experimental and out there. I hear what you're saying, but maybe just indulge me for a second and listen again to the separate parts by themselves to imagine it fitting. He then replied,
Yeah, I see what you mean. What else have you got?
The piano player Rex opened up with, Wait, I can see the first section as a quiet background, but the chase sequence could be right up front. Change things in a fair bit. The coder came back with,
Yeah, I like the mystery or the spy thing. That could be useful. I think this range of emotive pieces could really work, though I just can't make the connection without the footage. Can we take these away and we'll have a play with them a bit more and give you feedback?
Yeah, sure. It's hard to connect one to the other. I feel very much for that. So listen to this last piece that I have. It has a lot of different sections with sense of urgency, and it has a unique combination of sounds that I help align to the movie. I thought it might be a piece that Cuneiform could play. It has horn quartet, marimba drums. It's called Burning Up. I'm not sure if it was the connection to the band Cuneiform, or it was the sound that gave them the smile on their faces. A little more distinctive, but it has that darkness without the distraction of melody, nor expecting someone to sing.
Yeah, this is more what I think could be useful in a number of sequences. It feels like it connects, though it feels a bit radio up front and maybe needs more atmospheric resolve. I would love it to be explored further in connections to our footage.
Anyone else? Nothing? So thanks for your time. I really appreciate your feedback, and I hope the project makes a lot of waves. Anna and I are left in the room. I'm not sure what constitutes a decision in this group, but that seemed positive towards burning up.
Sure.
Later, on the veranda, just Anna and I, the moon was not out, but the sky was incredibly clear, making the sky a full blanket of stars, especially the bright slash of the Milky Way. Can I play you something? It's nothing to do with the project. It's just something I found of Sebastian's.
Sure.
And I play Counting Stars Together. And the languid piano gives an image of a restless heart looking for another heart to calm it down. And the marimba is a voice in your head answering. All you have to do is keep counting. The most elevating thing. Anna sits next to me and puts her head on my shoulder, looking out and wanting to count stars, but there are just too many. But this is the thing I could do for a decade, if her head was always on my shoulder. The melancholy spaces between the notes seem to expand and wash over us, as if there was no music at all and the stars were making the sound. Then there is absolutely nothing to say, but the stars are sharing it with us. Later, when my head had recovered and we had tea, I turned to Anna and said, "Did you know that I had a mentor growing up who really pushed the idea that I could change the world? And he got into my head and made me believe it. It could be a recipe for failure, but when I do something, I'm all in."
That's good. I have talked it over with the team, and we're keen to take you on board and share the project with you. You will have the footage.
Great. I would really like to do a great job, but maybe I need help in setting up the security for Leon's computer. Is that okay? I know security and AI intrusions into personal space can be tenacious.
Well, we have a request that you do the work here on the farm where security is set up.
Oh, that's fine. I'll stay here for a week running through what we have as footage, the theme, and get to see bits of the coding process. The coders showed me ways of setting up the virtual reality with their haptic coding to generate a whole range of applied tactile inputs and all sorts of feelings that was helped by the neural links that everyone got when they were teens to get the most out of the games and to communicate and connect remotely. I got down to composing between looking over their shoulder, and it was coming along. I worked night and day, moving more to sound and atmosphere. Working as I had done in theatre and events, transferring to VR, though it was obviously much larger scale, but was very satisfying. Now that Anna was away back in the city, I felt a little unconnected to the team, but they tried to make me feel included, but it did give me a focus to the work. Anna couldn't make it the next week, which is a little sad, but I still had heaps of work I wanted to get done, as well as hanging out with the coders, especially Marcus, who tried hard to bring me into the 70s, the 2070 style. It was actually Marcus who thought up the idea to send Anna a VR tactile haptic postcard. It took a while thinking what to say. My sense of missing my time came to mind. So we built an atmosphere as snow in tall woods where the ongoing thought was this place was made for owls. The pine trees with broken branches of which to sit, and with her view will change from ground level to 12 metres up in a slight breeze with a clear view watching through owled eyes, ever focused. There is very little snow in this time. Then I guide her through the warm house in front of the now banned Environmental Reasons raging open log fire, with the smell of pine and the cracking of cinders from the settling wood. All these brain treats of feeling the softest snowflake and the knee-deep snow trudging in the big black bejewelled boots. And then the fireplace toasting marshmallows. They still had those. Then a voice message announced, "I wish I was there with you." I spent the work refining and cutting up the pieces of Burning Up until there were about 30 separate files of different lengths and orchestrations to be able to slot into most situations. I was really satisfied with the feel, and I was resolving a lot of the music-image combination. Glad to watch over the shoulder of Marcus in how the process was implemented. And from the AI code to overlaying the tactile feedback on top of the AI-generated images. It had opened up the field of VR to me as an incredibly deep experience. I got the gist of the story from all my poking through the footage, and the music seemed to fit with an increasing intensity, and I was feeling for the project, and it felt good. I love the sexiness of the marimba, like the 1940s starlet, moving through a crowded high-class nightclub effortlessly. What I see are coloured blocks on a grey grid. The blocks are all sprinkled all over the section. The screen am I looking at is so heavy and steady beat. They're all asking to be the thing you listen to. So I have an experiment for you to do. It is easy and no one is watching. I want you to move one part of your body to the beat, nodding your head or humping your shoulders, or best, stomping your foot when you listen again. Doing this, you control the music, and even these other notes are going to try and pull you away from it. Keep the focus on the up and the down beat. Give it a go. And those other offbeat notes can feel like decorations or a gentle fireworks, making the journey from within the music so satisfying. I think this is amazing. In the same way that I see the music as visual patterns, I also see it as accompanying pictures in the way of cinema music. A cafe scene with a new bow, an exhibition of abstract art, or a sped-up construction of a video of a skyscraper. Music can be a tool for your mind. I've been writing this one for a little while, just trying to illustrate the architecture here. The concrete, the right angles, the graphic shapes, the shadows cut in all sorts of slowly moving shapes on a beautiful canvas of concrete. This may not take you by surprise, but it's called romance in a future architecture. So I'm introducing you to an architecture in a sonic presentation of austerity and monumentalism. Long bass notes as a foundation and perimeter of the building. What it did was a city on all levels, with each level a suburb where they could transfer from buildings to shops to the floors above and below. Then open spaces that have such frames to define them. Between some buildings became a jungle where opposing buildings each set up with their vertical gardens, and some with vines that crossed over to the people's delight to live in the forest of the apartment building. There is the persistent feeling of density, but it's a constant amazement. I got a lift back into town when one of the coders had to do some work there. I met up with Anna and we were writing some music for the band on her laptop, and we sat at a table at a relatively empty afternoon in the garden. But we needed some quiet to get down into the details of the harmonies, so we went down the road to Anna's shared apartment. Anna's building was a brutalist statement with concrete aesthetic. No windows on the outside, just one facing into the clever internal courtyard. Her front door looked like a portal into a dystopia, with a shiny black Gothic door and red claw marks on it. The lounge kitchen was maybe 3 meters square, and her bedroom was actually the size of a double bed, edge to edge, and was opened the sliding door and crawled into the bed. And when she opened the doors on silent runners, there was the visual blast of green. Over the 3 walls was a video wall covering every inch displayed the painting of Henry Rousseau, The Dream of 1910. Jungle Green Dreams. Listen to this scene where the boy wakes up getting orientated and starts planning out the day and breaks into the street, and the plan starts to get formed. It's building up of instrumentations, but the sense of building space. This is a scene where he is alone in a cafe going through the strategy with the conspirator that was needed and working between uncertainty and excitement. This is just how the week went, cutting up and arranging more pieces, burning up and pulling back on the gusto and pushing up the atmospheric opportunities and separate motives. Then I started to include bits and pieces of Taxi 19, Kiss Kiss Kiss, for this scene, and that was this Mexican standoff between the police and the protesters. I was trying to build tension, but also make fun of the situation. All of these work with similar ensembles that give intimacy, breath, and a tingle in the misty air of French capital. For example, there are a couple of duets of marimba and drums, and the marimba and the baritone sax. They still portray a sense of urgency that the original had, as well as allowing the full-on horn quartet to be used at different stages. A small ensemble gives a physical vibrancy to the thick and very personal space and the atmosphere. One of the coders said, "I love the tension and the syncopation of the rhythmic duet, and the options of the large ensemble depending on the punch you need in the scene. When I cut the alt and the tenor sax and give the solo to the baritone sax, it gives the energetic and away cool dance around the beat, like a game of chasing with drums. Grand piano is the sound I like to compose with. Even when composing the melodies, is just to listen to the notes, the clarity of the melody and the crisp attack before distributing it to other parts and other instruments which add another power beyond the note, a selection of sound qualities." When she arrived with the glorious band of misfits, actually, when they arrived I called out, "Oh, the glorious band of misfits!" The bass player said, "That's our new name." And I wish it would stick. I talked to Anna on the side deck, looking down over the hillside of vegetables and growing down the hill, the down and the valley. She asked, "What have you been up to?" As she rough and tumbled me, I said, "I haven't been rough and tumbled like this. I've been composing, and maybe I've been decomposing." I reorchestrated the piece Burning Up and reconstructed them in a number of versions. From the music to the action. So I've taken out the pump stress of the alto and the tenor saxes, which brings wonderful bass work to the energetic baritone sax against the syncopated drums. This is for the scene of the busy market outdoor cafe, with conversations whispering into each other's ears for privacy and to get my nose underneath her hair, just to breathe in the skin of the beautiful woman. I'm not sure if that has been programmed in haptic yet. The dinner is curry, pumpkin soup and a plate of fresh vegetables from the garden in garlic sauce. That is very tasty, thank you. You eat well here. A few drift off to rooms and some cleared up and others sat and chatted, but Anna's motioned me to the balcony. Besides a few mosquitoes, it was heaven, with a little glow in the far distance of the city, but for us, here at this point, it was just a memory.
Sebastian, you seem very naive about a lot of things, but you cover it up quite well. I'm pretty sure that even Queensland is not that backward. What is your deal?
Sebastian takes a deep breath and says, "Can you keep a secret, an important and secure secret?"
Yes, you know I'm on your side.
Well, without further ado, I come from 2030, but that is just the start.
That's pretty big. How do you do it?
Trying to get the information out without questions, I trudge on. Leon of the house is actually my older self, who came back to me every Saturday afternoon when I was 14 up to last week. He used the name Sebastian to cover up that he was me. Our given name is actually Leon. He found a sketch that I did in my future, his past, that took his fancy, not realising its potential, and through his engineering skills, he built it. Being a whiz at technology, engineering and experiments, he was able to work it out that it was the time machine. And with it, he worked out that he could go to any time. But because he didn't travel in space to exotic locations, only to locations in any time, he came to be my mentor and greatest friend every Saturday and when I needed him. I know how weird that is, but I really didn't know all of this until last week, which must have been his deathbed, last trip to his past and my present. Over the years we explored music, of course, but engineering and lasers and philosophy and graphics and mathematics and stagecraft, design process and beyond. He was like the really dedicated father that I really didn't have. It was great to have him available and willing to be my partner in everything, but he was always pushed me to go beyond, saying, "You are meant for great things." Of the hundreds of times he visited me since I was 14, this is my first trip to the future, to his wake. This is the first time I've ever told anyone this. I'm nearly in tears.
I'm so sorry. He must have meant a lot to you.
I didn't realise until recently, as I said, that he was my older self, but we were very close, so it was a shock when I arrived. Here I'm a tourist in my future, unsure where my path leads, and without the guidance from Leon, I'm at a crossroads. I have been excited to be here, meet you and create the music, but Leon wanted me to fix the world of some of its problems, not just entertain them. So without my mentor, I have to ask myself big questions. How and when, with my mentor design skills and key to time, will I make the greatest impact? So being here is certainly an eye-opener to see you and the future, but here I am with a group that etch out their life as far away from the train tracks of society as possible. The changes as I see them, the environmental breakdown, the surveillance state that seems to question every turn if mankind is the best use of energy on the planet. The people are not happy. They have a sort of police state, or worse, an AI state, where there is no crime, no poverty, no politics. It seems the idea of passion is only in your little band here. I'm not sure, but there must be more people standing up and hiding out. But as a society, it seems to have gone down a road which I'm unsure how to get out of. The sense of comfort, where everyone is pretty well fed, housed. It's like a wish to a genie that someone had, but it was predictably gone weird and uncomfortable. Work has been replaced with time in which people don't know how to cope with. They gamble, they consume drugs, they play in virtual worlds in some way to give meaning to their life. This society needs a lot to fit into my idea of utopia. I could see a role of focusing a campaign to counteract boredom. Maybe your game can be the great panacea to some of the ills of our time, but I'm not hoping for more. What I don't know is the extent that change is possible here. Everyone is plugged into games of ever-increasing complexity to keep their minds agile and hold off the boredom that comes from not working. Of all the boring complications of working, this is the flip side of life, where meaning in life has been replaced by a void. The game could replace a teacher or a seer with the right strategies, but I can't see a vision of utopia to develop here.
Are we beyond saving?
It seems a bit like it from my perspective, especially without a grand and maybe catastrophic event. But like I said, I'm just a tourist here. I haven't got a handle on the ins and outs of society and how to apply change. If I went back in my time, I'm more aware of the problems that might allow me to have insight into bringing about solutions. But you have become very special to me, so I'm torn to leave here. The composing work has been a great experience, but it's coming to an end. I'm going to miss you, your quirks and your positive look at life. Anna jumps up.
Can I go with you?
I think it's possible, but I have to work some things out before it can happen, so for now, just cool it, and I'll be back sooner than you think. I have time. This time thing is new to me, and what time is and how to use it. I wrote this poem. What time will it be when the time comes? When the penny drops, the party's over, all the stars fall, hell freezes over. When the night calls to the distant lake, where the ship comes in and my heart still aches. When the dog barks, when the bees sting, last drinks are called, when the cathedral bell rings. When the lights change, the devil calls in mirth, the fat lady sings, I inherit the earth. What time will it be when the time comes? The time is so often right, it's time for love. A clockwork time, they shoot time, don't they? One flew over the cuckoo time. Good time hunting, run time run, silence of the times, apocalypse time, rebel without time, eternal time of the spotless mind, the last tango in time, time poets society, the time commandments, lust for time, time in translation. What time will it be when the time comes? The time was right, no time without love. A clockwork time, they shoot love, don't they? One flew over the cuckoo, love, a good love hunting. Run, lover, run, silence of the lovers, apocalypse love, rebel without a love, eternal love of the spotless mind, the last tango in love, love poets society, the love commandments, lust for love, love in translation. The countdown ends, time takes a cigarette. Has it been minutes, hours, days and years? I'm so ever glad we met. In just a way to test that the future doesn't resolve their problems, I set off for a century from my time. After the bubble faded, I eventually found a door in the dark and ventured through into a staircase up into the foyer of a retail space of some giant building, I suspect. There were a number of coffee shops and food retailers as well as cooking equipment. Things don't change that much, as it's just things to keep us alive. I knew from the last future that surveillance is standard, so I didn't stand long and went outside into the hazy, dust-laden air that made it hard to breathe. The emptiness of the streets made me think that maybe there were other ways to transfer between buildings, or people just stay in their own building. It was like a prison, or maybe the dust storm was temporary and the streets would jump back into life after the winds died down. Even though it was exciting to be in this far-flung future, I also felt, again, vulnerable. One lady was hard up against the wind and struggling, and I asked her, "Do you need help?" And she looked at me as if I came from a different planet. Maybe I am. I did see a number of video cameras, but there seemed no way to avoid them. I slipped into a cafe, but without money or any idea how to get on in this time, I knew my actions would highlight my foreign nature. So I chickened out and went back into the street where the police vehicle pulled up alongside me, and the robot got out and scanned my wrist with no expected biosignal and informed me that I was under arrest for being a non-entity. There didn't seem much chance of escaping or outrunning him, so I complied. When in the cage-like structure in the back of his van, I thought it was better not to go into the system or try to explain time travel. I reset the time machine, and with that tiny experience of the future beyond my time, I abandoned it to travel back into my time and to my mother. A couple of kilometres from my house, not far from my old school, the bubble of light didn't seem to attract any attention, thank God. The burnt honeycomb invaded every molecule of my being, so I just sat there on the grass, gathering my thoughts. When I arrived home, my mother was a little confused with the overly affectionate greeting. The weeks away made me so glad to be home, and somehow even more weirdly lost than ever. Life just wasn't the same, and I just wasn't sure what and when to do anything. I did tell Mum about this amazing trumpeter girl I met. This was to butter her up, or at least to break the ice about her possibly coming to stay for a while. Anna just kept drawing me back into the future as life seemed pretty dull without her. I opened the music player with its tiny hard disk with Jack in the Wall, and I played the piece of Sebastian's composition that was at the wake, and I saw that it was called Eulogy, which is exactly what I was thinking.